Welcome back, everybody, to This Week in Science, and kind of give you the update on what's going to go on this week and in the upcoming moments. And then we'll do a quick interview or interesting facts in science. I got a special guest again today. I didn't have to go very far for this one. But I think you'll like it, and it'll tie directly into what we're going to be doing here in the next couple weeks. So this week in science, what we're going to be doing is we are going to be getting into some natural selection and that life science unit that we've been talking about. And the natural selection that we're going to be discussing is kind of the idea that there are principles in science that help organisms survive and advance, and that's kind of what the whole concept of natural selection is, that the most favorable traits help organisms survive and continue in that environment. And if the environment changes, then maybe those traits aren't so beneficial. Well, another part of natural selection is the idea of artificial selection. And so artificial selection is kind of the idea that we as humans have specifically selected traits that will benefit us. And that might be in a lot of different things. It could be anything from the chicken that we eat to the cows that we raise to maybe the uses of the livestock and so on and so forth. And so I have a really good example for us here once I get done going over kind of the agenda. So what we're going to do this week is we're going to get into some examples of how natural selection has kind of taken root throughout the island of Hawaii. And so the first thing that we're going to do is take a peek at the island of Hawaii and all the organisms that kind of set foot there. Being a short week, that's pretty much all we're going to do is watch some videos and kind of discuss what's going on that island as we know it now. So that brings me to the fun science fact of the week. The fun science fact of the week is also my interview, and it has to do with my good buddy, my dog, W. And so I'll introduce you to W here. Let me flip the camera around real quick. Can you say hi, Dub? Come here, buddy. Come here. So W is a purebred bloodhound. There you go. I'll let you get an up-close view of W. So his name comes from President George W. Bush, in case you're wondering, but we just call him Dub. But W here is a purebred bloodhound. He is of the liver red-colored strain or variation of the breed. And W he's about 7 years old. He's about 140 pounds. He is a large dog, per se, and he has some pretty unique features that we as humans have artificially selected. And so let's go over some of those and kind of talk about them. The first thing you probably already noticed is his ears. And these ears are massive, right? They are huge. They hang past his nose even. And I'll get into more detail of that. I'll just go through everything here and get a big yawn in. Another thing that you'll notice about the bloodhound is the big old schnoz and the big old lips, right? He doesn't really mind me playing around with him. But also all the wrinkles. He's a really wrinkly dog. You know, he puts his head down, his wrinkles fall forward over his eyes. He puts his head back, all his wrinkles go away. And he's a good boy. He's a good family dog. But I will say that bloodhounds are definitely not house dogs. He lives in the house, but he would much rather be outside. In fact, when I take him outside, he has to be on a leash because he would go for miles on a scent, and that's kind of what they are bred for. And so I'll kind of talk about some of that here as well. He's put his paw up. Let's take a look at his paw, how big they are. So there's W's paw. They are massive. Like I said, he's 140 pounds. He is a large dog. He is one of the biggest of the hound breed, the largest of the hounds being the Afghan hound, but bloodhound a close second. So let's go into some of these details. The nose. The nose is the most powerful nose in the dog kingdom. And because dogs are a domesticated animal, the ability to train and to use them to track people in general, whether it be the criminal, whether it be a lost individual, so on and so forth. It is the only nose that can be used in the court of law as evidence. It is that powerful. Now, most dogs do have good, powerful noses, but bloodhounds have the strongest nose. In some cases, they've been able to track trails for over 48 hours, which is, 2 full days of a trail being laid. Another feature of the bloodhound, their ears actually also provide use for that sniffing ability. And so that sniffing ability, when he puts his head down, his ears drag across the ground. And as they drag across the ground, they are stirring up scent, and the wet tips of the ears also catch some of the scent. And so he's kind of like enhancing the smell as he does the tracking. The loose skin, as he puts his head down, you'll notice that the wrinkles kind of fall over his eyes here. You can try and get a good view of that. The wrinkles fall over his eyes here. And when the wrinkles fall over his eyes, they act kind of as blinders on a horse. And so what that does is, just like any other dog, they get distracted pretty easily. And so the blinders will actually keep them from being distracted and just focus on the ground, focus on the scent. No scenarios where it's squirrel, right? Not saying he doesn't get distracted. He gets distracted sometimes. So, but then also all the loose skin does kind of the same thing. It has the ability to kind of channel all of that, the scent to the big old nose here. So, the bloodhound breed comes from kind of Central Europe, Mediterranean area, and worked his way to like France, England, and Belgium. The reason it's called a bloodhound really doesn't have anything to do with like bloodthirstiness or anything like that. It has to do with kind of what we're going to discuss with heredity, is that when they would breed these hounds, instead of just letting them be kind of mutts, these guys were purebred. They only bred them with other bloodhounds. And so they were one of the first breeds of hound to be purebred, and have pure blood. Thus, they got the name pure-blooded hound or bloodhound. So hopefully you enjoyed meeting my dog, my best friend. We'll definitely discuss him more often, and we will talk about how artificial and natural selection is kind of shaping the world around us. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.